I would like for us to show our appreciation to the organizers, Joe and Myra, their helper, John, Jan, Wanda. I would like for us to show our appreciation to them. So, check.
Melted carpet.
Melted carpet, or as you walk through a carpet, it's very hot. So just be aware. The way I would check them is I would crank it up. Don't let it get hot, but get under there and run your hand gently over the top of the muffler and make sure there's no stream of hot gas going straight up. That's what I would do. That's what I'd do if I still had one. The other item I'm going to bring up, I don't want to scare you new folks and get all wound up, but it deals with rear wheel bearings. On both of our rigs, somewhere around 100,000 miles, both of them failed. Why they failed on the driver's side first, I don't know. But that's where both of mine failed. You know why? Go.
The bolt loosens up.
That's kind of what I thought.
What is it?
The bolt that holds it all together will tend to loosen up if they get hot, which melts the plastic, am I going to call it plastic, that's built into the nut that holds it in place. The nut will begin to vibrate and start to come loose.
There's no plastic in them.
Is it not plastic?
No, it's a crimp nut.
It's a crimp nut, okay.
On old vehicles, they use castellated nuts, so you crank it down and then put a cotter pin in it so it couldn't move. Well, you can't do that on these.
Right.
I guess you could drill a hole and everything. But they're not made that way.
Whenever I have replaced them, I kept the old nut, and when all was said and done, I took the old nut and jammed it onto the new nut. It's a bolt about this long that holds it all together, and a lock nut system, and then it won't come out. So my suggestion is around 100,000 miles, check them yourself or take them to a competent dealer that you're aware of and have them to check it.
Are there any symptoms to that? I mean, do you hear any noises?
Maybe.
I'm getting there.
All right.
One of the ways that I've done it in the past is I would jack up the rear. On the driver's side, I would give it a spin with my hand and I would listen. And then I would go to the passenger side and listen to the sound of the bearings. Generally, the driver's side will be the one that'll fail. The way I determined that is a couple of failure ways, because I worked in the garages since I've been 14 years old and dealing with wheel bearings. Sometimes it will sound like you're going over sort of a rough pavement and you will hear a little bit of a kind of a grinding roar noise, but roar is not the right word because that makes it sound like it's big. Then the other way is whenever the plating off of one of the roller bearings becomes compromised, it will sound almost like you're running over a very small expansion joint in the roadway. It'll be a bloop, 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 although I'm exaggerating it. But take it to a competent place that you're aware of. Now, the front bearings and the back bearings look on the surface to be the same, but they're not. The rear ones are a heavier load range rated bearing. Does Eurovan still have them? I didn't think so. Dwayne can tell you where to get them and how to differentiate the front from the rear. Please. Can you?
To the best of my knowledge, there are no dual tapered roller bearings available anywhere. I have one place I want to check out after I get home, order some and see if they are. But the best we can do is a heavy duty ball bearing, which is I've been calling it medium duty because it's not as good as the roller, but it's better than what's on the front. Volkswagen quit making them probably 8 years ago, and the aftermarket companies had them, but they've all changed their production to ball bearings instead of roller bearings, and they say they're just as good, they just won't last quite as long, but they won't tell you how long that is.
yours were compromised, but not that much. They must have been a good set of bearings.
It was probably a Wednesday.
Well,
Yeah.
if they were kept, if the bolts kept tight, you don't have to worry about it. They'll last 200,000 miles.
Now, is there a way to check your bolts before you get a chance to change them?
Other than getting under there with a wrench and checking them.
The inside, the head of the bolt and the nut are both,
About this long.
hidden.
That big bolt.
And they're both 24 millimeters, but you got 2 sockets and a torque wrench. I checked mine right after I bought it 15 years ago because I'd heard of the problem. And the torque on the driver's side was about 120, 125. I put it up to 148. The passenger side was fine, and I kept an eye on them. I changed my rear bearings at 135,000 miles only because I had gotten some aftermarket bearings and I wanted to test them on mine.
The first time I tested mine, I put a socket on the front, on the underside, a socket on the outside. I thought I had the wrong size socket. I could twist it with my hand. It was that loose.
And what should the torque be?
Uh,
What should the torque be?
148 foot-pounds.
Which is tight.
It's tight.
Just
I used to be able to do it. I just have trouble now because I lost some weight. I just can't
Yeah,
hardly
don't
get
want
it.
that.
Yeah.
You get a big piece of pipe.
I ain't got enough lead in my butt. That's what it is.
Oh, thank you.
Show and tell.
Show and tell.
A new necklace.
That's the first option. Any idea what this is?
Doorstop?
Close. It is a stop.
I think it has something to do with the shower door.
Well, it is a stop. What'd you say?
No.
No. Okay, here's the deal. Those of you that travel with someone, when you're dumping your sewer, someone is over with their foot on the hose to keep it from popping back out of the hole. In my case, I'm by myself now, and I can't stretch as far as I used to with my foot on the hose and my hand on the release valve.
You gotta park closer.
If I could.
Sometimes you can.
Sometimes you can't. So this, as soon as I put the hose over in the hole, I wedge it in and I bam. That way that hose is not going to come out of the hole. And if something crazy happens and the hose comes out and this goes down the hole, hopefully that will catch it.
Oh, me, I was wondering what that's for.
That's a safety.
It's a safety. Someone else looked at that and they said, oh, you know what I would do? I would get the cap from your bayonet mount dump and instead of that, put the cap. And I said, hadn't thought of that. So that's what this is for. And I couldn't do without it now because, you know, when your liquid is going through the hose sometimes tends to want to sag, and then you've got to pick the hose up and get the liquid over in the hole and all this sort of thing. And this right here, because Faye's cousin, he looked around and forgot and took his hand off of the hose up here on the rig, turned around, it was gone.
Me too.
You too?
Me too.
And so the next person that found it must have been the plumber. So this right here, it works. So just a 2x4 with the hole and a chain. I had a rope on it, the rope wouldn't stay knotted, so I got a chain. That right there is worth its weight. No, you know, I guess I could get a camping world.
Get a patent there, man.
So that's the handiest tool I ever saw. So.
Got to dream big, or don't dream at all.